Hey guys, Solomon here. I hope you all are having a great day. I thought in today's video I would make an announcement concerning the Ponziani opening. Now, some of you guys might not even know what the Ponziani opening is, which we will get into that in a moment. But for those of you that do know what it is or are interested in learning more about it, I just dropped a nearly 4-hour course, online course on the Ponziani opening, nearly 4 hours in length, talking about exclusive Ponziani opening lines, variations, ideas, and really just how to approach this opening for white. Right? What kind of moves can we see? How do we respond? What are our main ideas? How can we get quick and easy wins? And when our opponents do know the theory and they go with the main lines, how can we be well prepared and equipped to face those kinds of situations? So if you're interested in learning more about the Ponziani, I will leave a link in the description below, as well as the top pinned comment. And in both of those, you will be able to get to that online course. This is really my second course so far. The first one I made was on the hippopotamus defense, which was about 6 hours in length. Now we're, kind of shifting our second online course to the Ponziani opening, which is nearly 4 hours in length. And I put a lot of work into it. I hope that you guys will enjoy it. Now, for those of you that don't know what the Ponziani opening even is, right? Let's answer the question. Well, okay, it's an opening for white, in which case we're playing e4, right? Very strong move. This is what I recommend for beginner players. And really, those of you that haven't been playing chess for too long yet and are trying to get better, right? This is just a very solid and principled chess opening move, right? Fight for the center. Give this queen and bishop some room to breathe and develop, right? In the opening, we're not just moving pawns to move pawns. We're moving pawns to get our back rank pieces involved. Before this move, our queen can't move anywhere, right? This bishop on f1 can't move, but now they can. Right? Let's say black does the same thing, same kind of idea. Okay, we play knight f3. We are now attacking the centralized pawn, and the moment that they defend it, the Ponziani is this move of c3. And I think part of the reason the Ponziani is so strong is because it's rare, right? On top of the fact that it's just a sound opening and there's so many traps that black can fall into, it's pretty rare. I mean, I played e4 and knight f3 most of my life, and I did not know what the Ponziani even was until a subscriber asked me to make a video on it. I looked it up, saw what it was, and that's kind of where my Ponziani opening journey began. But I mean, there's just so many other moves here that black usually sees, right? The Roy Lopez, this is seen all the time, especially at the 2200 plus level. Grandmasters go with this all the time. We have the Italian game, which could lead into the Gyoko piano. This could lead into an Evans gambit. We have this move of, d4 going into a Scotch game or a Scotch gambit. There's just a lot of things that could happen here. And that's not even mentioning, right, before we played the move knight f3, right? Before knight f3, there's a bunch of other moves, the King's Gambit, Danish Gambit, Vienna game, Vienna Gambit, all that kind of stuff. You just don't see this very often, right, of Ponziani type chess with c3. Really the main idea behind this is to help support this d4 push in the center of the board. And in the course, I go over the three main ideas of playing this move of c3 in depth, and then really just going over, okay, what are some black responses here, right? What are the most popular moves? What are the best moves? One move that is actually pretty popular here is bishop c5, right? And this is what I dedicated chapter 1 towards, and actually you're going to be able to watch chapter 1 in this video. I cover this move because it's so popular, but I did not cover it because, it's good or anything, because it's not, right? This move, bishop c5, is actually just not great because we have this move d4 kicking it around, as you're going to see later on in this video. But I also wanted to announce, on top of the course getting dropped, right, on the Ponziani, this month we're going to be dropping on the YouTube channel right here on the Chess Giant a bunch of Ponziani content as well, right? So, covering games, covering strategies, all that kind of good stuff. And I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek into the course, just in case you're on the fence and you're thinking, okay, what, do I want to invest in this or not? This is really the first move that we're covering in the course, and we go from there, right? And there's really 7 chapters in the course. The first 5 are dedicated to very specific moves. Bishop c5, we look at d6, we look at d5, we look at the Danish counterattack with knight f6, we look at the Ponziani counter gambit with f5. And then chapter 6, in that chapter, we're really looking at the top 15 traps for the Ponziani opening player. Okay, if you didn't catch that, 15 traps. And I mean, really, you could try to find more, but it's just like, how many openings have 15 traps in them, right? I mean, even the Stafford Gambit, when I look up traps, I don't find 15 of them. And on top of that, the Ponziani is sound in so many of its lines and ideas. So it's just a dangerous opening. It's rare. A lot of people don't study for it, and it can get you wins very quickly and very easily as well, right? So that's really the idea behind it. So again, the course has been dropped. I'll leave a link to it down in the description and in the pinned comment, so you can go check it out there. And on top of that, hit that notification bell if you haven't already, because this month we are going to be dropping a ton of Ponziani content, and I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you enjoy Chapter 1 of this course. Let me know down below what you think. All right, guys, here we go. Chapter 1 in this Ponziani course. We're going to start off by looking at a move that has been played over 3 million times from black on Lichess, making it the second most popular option against the Ponziani. All that being said, it's absolutely terrible for black and is going to give white a big advantage. That move that is played so often but is so bad is bishop to c5. Okay, and I can't really tell you why black plays this so often. I do have my guess about it. But what I can tell you is that we can simply take advantage of this move by playing d4, right? And that's the whole point of the Ponziani. We're playing this move, as you may recall in the introduction, of c3, trying to support this d4 push, right? And in this case, bishop c5 simply does nothing to stop it. Now, black may be sitting there going, okay, I'm trying to put as much pressure as I can on that d4 square to prevent that move from happening, but we're playing it anyways. And sure, you're attacking it with 3 pieces, but we have 3 supporting pieces as well. And whoever initiates the trade and the capturing off is gonna end up losing it, right? In this case, if black wants to take on d4, we'll simply capture back with the c-pawn, right? If you take with the knight, we'll capture back. If you want to take with the bishop, we'll take your bishop right off the board. And here we're simply up a piece for a pawn. White is simply crushing this game. So really with d4, what we're basically getting here is a position in which case we're playing the move that we've wanted to play all along, right, after c3, and black now has to run away with the bishop, right? Why would you put your bishop on a square where you're just going to have to run away again, right? Run away to a square like b6, which is not very good. Run away to a square like d6, e7, or just go all the way back to f8. There's simply no good reason for this, right? Now, in this situation, what happens if black moves the bishop right now? First off, black could play this move of bishop d6, right, and actually just hold on to all their material, defend the pawn on e5, but with the bishop on d6, notice here, that pawn on d7 is not going to be able to move. If that pawn can't move, this bishop is going to have a hard time getting out, and if the bishop can't get out, the rook as well is going to have a hard time developing. So simply by playing this move, black is really slowing down their queenside development a ton. And on top of that, they simply have a very awkward position. We as white are only 2 moves away from castling, and we're going to start throwing our minor pieces in like crazy following that kind of situation, right? So, okay, I mean, here a move like bishop d6 does hold on to material. What's wrong with bishop b6, right? Why is this so bad for black? Because we can now play d5, right? Kicking this knight around. The second you move it, we're taking on e5. We're up a pawn. Black has nothing good to show for it. In fact, you can't even get rid of the knight with a move like d6 because we throw in a check on b5, right? The computer move is king f8, which, I mean, who wants to play a game and play king f8 on move 7 while being down a pawn? A move like bishop d7, we're simply going to win that bishop. And a move like c6, we're going to capture off, right? Capture that pawn. I mean, here, if black wants to take on c6, we'll take the pawn right back. We're going to be up 2 pawns. Great position for white. And if you take the knight, you're up material, but only for a moment, because we take the pawn on b7 with check against the king, and we actually make a second queen on move 10. And okay, if you want to take one of our 2 queens, we still got one of them. We're going to take on d7 with check, plus 7 material advantage. Yet again, white is crushing this game. Right, so going to d4, the best move that black has is taking on d4 with the pawn. What happens if black plays bishop b6 now, right? What if they take and then play the move of bishop b6? Well, d5 is a move that works, right? d5 is very playable, but what I would recommend here is actually keeping the tension, right? This is something that I learned growing up. Sometimes, if you see a move that is good, sometimes you don't want to play it right away, right? I mean, sometimes you do if you're winning a piece or something, but sometimes you kind of want to keep these threats and ideas on the back burner and keep mounting the tension up and up, right? And wait for the right time to strike with that opportunity. In this case, I'm a big fan of just developing, right? Playing a move like knight c3. Notice just how great our center is, right? We have 2 central pawns. Black only has 1 on d7, and they can't even play d5 because they lose a pawn. They can't play f5 because they lose a pawn. So black here, a ton of issues that they have to work through. We have a great center, very easy natural development ahead of us. If a move like d6, we could play d5 right away, but why not play bishop b5, pinning that knight, looking to play d5, simply winning a piece for a pawn, right? That's a great option that we have available to us. I mean, look, if black just develops or something, d5, we're winning a knight. We're winning a knight, right? You play a6, okay, we'll drop back to a4. Yet again, we're threatening to play this move of d5. If black slows this down by developing their light squared bishop, okay, we'll castle, and black is only one misclick away here from simply getting overran in the center, right? You play something like knight f6, we're playing e5, breaking this game open. If you take, we're capturing back. Notice how this knight cannot go to the center of the board because our knight on c3 matches that energy. If you go back to g8, that's pretty sad. And if you go to h5 or the square of g4, we're playing bishop g5 with tempo against the queen. The queen here, according to the computer, really just has to run away, because if you play something like f6, we play rook e1 with check, and this is something that happens all the time in the Ponziani as well. You get that great two-pawn center, you castle before black does, and you're going to have opportunities to really use that rook on the e-file to make a presence against the enemy king that is not yet safe, right? Here, white, a great position, great development. It's just going to be hard for black to hang on here. If white plays this correctly, black's not going to be hanging on very long at all, right? So we have that move of c takes d4. So something like bishop b6. White plays knight c3, quickly develops, bishop b5 against something like d6, looking to play d5. If black, kind of dodges all those bullets and they eventually play something like knight f6, we can play e5, just kind of breaking open the center of the board. And if they play it correctly, right, and drop that knight on e7 or kind of avoid all those kind of breaks, we have a great center, right? That's just the end of the story there, right? We have a great center. We're going to develop, put our rooks on the E and C files, and play some chess, right? Now, what happens here if black goes with the computer move, though, and that is bishop b4 with check? Well, knight c3 is a playable option. In fact, I think Gotham Chess is a fan of knight c3. I think it's a good move. It's a solid try for white. All that being said, I am personally a fan of bishop d2. You can try both and see which one you like more. I like bishop d2, right? Just attacking that bishop. And there's just a lot of stuff that can happen here. The computer move is to take on d2, with that bishop on b4. There's just not a lot that black benefits from this tension, right? Why would black want us to always have this option of taking on b4, getting this knight in an awkward spot, having d5, distracting the knight, all that kind of stuff? So, the computer says, okay, let's just take on d2. And in this case, guys, when we capture back in the opening, we want to take with development, right? We have a knight here that is pretty good and a knight here that's not so good. Why would we bring our good knight back, right? Bring our bad knight into the game, get it developed, and now this knight is very solid, right? Both of our central pawns are protected in this situation. If you see something like d6, again, very natural, easy development here for white, right? Bishop b5, castle kingside. We're going to put our rooks, like I mentioned before, on the E and on the C files, right? And white here just with a solid position. Black's going to have a hard time messing with our very nice center with d5 and e5 options every single move that they're going to have to think through and that we always have available. Going back, what happens here if black plays the move of d5, right? This is one of the lines in which case, okay, black plays, bishop b4 check. They then, look to capture on d2. They play d5. They're trying to fight for the center. Well, in this case, we can simply take, right? And if queen captures back, we have bishop c4, the very next move. We're going to castle kingside. And, this happens quite a bit. I'm showing you the most popular moves for black here, the last couple moves in online chess. Black here, tucking their knight on e7. In that case, knight g5, right? Brutal option for white. Just kind of fried liver attack type-esque ideas. Attacking that pawn on f7. Bishop e6 doesn't work because we can simply capture that bishop off, take on e6. Ton of ideas in the air there that are going to be great for us. And okay, here if black castles, we have queen h5 threatening a mate in one with 3 pieces attacking f7. Black here is not very far from losing this game on the spot, right? You plug it into Stockfish, it's going to find some miracle saves defensively. Even then, it gives a pretty good edge to white. But practically here, this is just resignable for black from a practical standpoint. It's just going to be hard for black to survive this, right? It's just going to be hard. So So that's really the basis, right, of playing against bishop c5, right? We play c3, looking to prepare d4, and really bishop c5. When black plays this, we can prove that you can't stop d4, right, by simply putting more pieces on it. We're so well supported to play this pawn push, and oftentimes it results with us just gaining a huge, massive, central control, in which case we're going to have, e5 and d5 ideas in the game, really making our presence known, getting that advantage in development, which is what the Ponziani is all about, right? Activate your pieces, develop your pieces, and see what happens from there. Thanks for watching today's video. If you haven't already, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to this channel, as well as hit that notification bell if you enjoyed it so that you don't miss out on anything that we got dropping soon. On top of that, I want to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of August in 2023. A big shout out to y'all, by the way. If you're interested in joining the Patreon community, we have some added benefits, including exclusive PGNs for every single new Chess Giant video that comes out. And on top of that, we have a once a month session, in which case I go over patrons' personal games. These are just a couple of the benefits that we have recently added, and we're looking to add more. I'll see y'all in the next one.